You're listening to the Lowdown Show, The Next.
Mamma mia!
Your NXT review and discussion show.
We are NXT!
Right here on the No Holds Barred Network. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the re-debut episode of the Lowdown Show, The Next, right here on No Holds Barred Wrestling, or No Holds Barred Network, your source for all WWE, NXT, and UK wrestling coverage. You can listen to us listen to us live every Wednesday, excluding this week as we are on Thursday, but on Spreaker. Download the free app on all Android and Apple devices. We are also available on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud. For all network updates, please follow us on Twitter at NHB Network, as well as you can follow the show on Twitter at Lowdown Show The Next. I am your host, as always, the self-proclaimed greatest host, Kyle Masters, and I'm joined by my co-host. He'll be my co-host for the NXT show on the network every single week. He is the host that runs the West Coast, Hollywood Michael Chau. Say hi to the peeps, Michael Chau.
Mamma mia! We're back. We're back, baby. We're better than ever.
Back.
Drew McIntyre, we are back in this. But unlike Drew McIntyre, we are not going up to that main roster. So we're staying right here in NXT.
Yeah, we're it's good. It's great down here, where some folks like to call us the quote-unquote B show, but we're just going to leave it at that. People want to call us what they want. That's okay.
Hey, B show, go, go, go. B show, go, go, go.
But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to our, episode 1 of the Lowdown Show, The Next. We are going to be talking NXT every single week on this show, right here on the newly named No Holds Barred Network. We're going to discuss NXT. We got a lot of segments that we're going to introduce to this show. We're also going to talk about some stuff that's been happening at NXT live events. We're going to keep you up to date with some potential NXT call-ups, who they're looking at in NXT, who we think might get a big push, and stuff like that. We have a couple segments called Who's Next and The Next, or not Who's Next, What's Next, and then we'll explain what those are when the time comes. But every show we will start off with the review, we'll get into our segments, and then we'll end off with your fan tweets. I don't know if I have any fan tweets this week, but I'm sure we'll get some in the upcoming weeks because NXT is that great of a show, and I'm sure a lot of people are tuning in every single week as much as we are. Michael, man, another great episode of NXT this week. But anyways, guys, again, follow us on Twitter, Lowdown Show, The Next. Also follow the network at NHB Network as well. You can follow myself at Real Kyle Masters, and you can follow my co-host at Michael Chau TV on Twitter as well. So, Michael, man, are you excited? Are you excited to get this relaunch underway here for the NXT part of the show?
I'm definitely excited, man. What great storylines for NXT. I mean, this isn't the go show for them, so I don't have to worry about it being trash. So, it's great. It's great. We got a lot of time to build storylines. No rush creative over here.
Yeah, there's not a takeover every 3 weeks, where we're not, rushing in everything, making up storylines because they're just for the sake of filling in a match or takeover. It's what's great about NXT, We can sit back and enjoy the next couple of months, and you don't even have to have a takeover. Clearly you don't, because look what they've been building for next week, the last couple of weeks. And I'm so hyped for it next week, Michael. You have no idea. The first ever champion versus champion match in NXT history. It's going to be great, and it's happening on a regular episode of NXT.
What? Not at a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, shocking. But anyways, guys.
We're actually getting title matches on a TV show. Get out of town.
Yeah, but
our show does that?
Sense. Oh, ones that make sense.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. They got to make sense, too. Anyways, joining the live chat, let's just jump in there, guys. Spreaker.com/NHBWP is where you can find us on there. You can download that free app, like I said in the intro, and you can chat with us live on the show. We got Tiffany from That Ass Podcast joining us. What's going on? And a friend of That Ass Podcast and a friend of me and the podcast here, Brandy Lynn. What's going on, you two? Thank you for joining in this glorious re-debut episode of The Lowdown Show, now titled The Next, and cleverly spelt NXT. See what we did there?
Oh, by the way, yeah. Hello to Tiffany and Brandy. Can you believe we actually have girl fans who are not here to see Roman Reigns? They're just here to see the product. Awesome.
Wow.
Love it. Thank you.
That's shocking that there are actually women fans out there that are actually not at a WWE event just to see Roman Reigns. And they're spending...
Nice.
It's sad, Michael. I want to talk about just briefly, now you bring that up. I think the last WWE event I went to, it had to have been... it had to have been WrestleMania. So I remember the Raw after. And I was sort of coherent, so I was all right. But anyways, I do remember there was a girl, I think, in front of me off to the right. She with her boyfriend. You could tell the boyfriend was really into it, right? She was sitting on her phone, like, literally the entire time until, like, either a Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns came out, and, her eyes were glued. Trust me, we all know why. But other than that, like, we know the majority of the audience what it is out there. It's kids looking for the crappy, no, I can't say crappy, but, the storylines and the way they book stuff that caters to them, and the women that are the casual people that watch, once every blue moon, or only go to the event when it comes around to their city, right? So it is what it is. I mean, you got, the main roster caters to a certain group, and NXT caters to the other group. We can be thankful for WWE to do something like that, right? It's not like they're just doing one straight product and that's it. I'm glad that NXT is something that, people that look at a product a different way, like you and me, can fall back on and enjoy every single week. And it's sad because Raw and SmackDown should be our number ones, but lately it's just we feel different. Our opinions are different with the main roster. We don't like what they're booking. It's different. We've been watching wrestling for so long that I think we can safely say we know what we're talking about, since we've gone through so many eras over the last 20 some odd years of watching professional wrestling, and know that when the product is good and know when the product is bad.
Absolutely. I can honestly say that for anyone who's listened to other podcasts out there, and for people who listen to our old shows before we did the reboot, I just want to say that I don't think, and I think you'll agree with me, we don't enjoy bashing on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live. We would more than love to talk every single week about how great that show was. And there are actually some weeks where there's some stuff we don't agree with that NXT does, but we tell it how it is. We don't watch Raw and SmackDown Live going into it and saying, I'm going to hate this show. I really don't. In fact, every time when I just so happen to be around the house and I turn on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, I'm like, what's going on? I really want to see them do good. And I don't hate Roman Reigns, but the way they're booking him, he seems like a good guy.
Yeah, that's another thing that people take out of context when it's like the people that are acceptive of what the main roster is are so quick to jump down to people that don't like it's down their throats, right? And then it's like, when we say we don't like it, it's like they think we're telling them not to watch it, and that we're trying to make them think otherwise. No, we're just telling us our opinion on what we think about the main product, and we're not. We don't sugarcoat it. We don't accept it for what it is. If we have a problem with a certain thing, we say it, and it's like people take it out of context all the time. It's like, people think we hate Roman Reigns, like you just said. We don't hate Roman Reigns. We hate how they portray his character. We hate how he's being built. You can't argue that he is being pushed down our throats. Like, Monday Night Raw literally is circled around Roman Reigns, and you can clearly see that everything else gets the backseat and less care in producing a good product when everything is about Roman Reigns.
Exactly.
You can't book a show like that, especially when you have a 3-hour long-ass show, and the main complaint out of a 3-hour show is that people tune off middle of the show, right?
Exactly. And I mean, honestly, sometimes I just feel sad for Roman Reigns. Like, there's one thing to say I don't like Roman Reigns, but if I can talk on the positive side, most people will go out there and just say, I hate Roman Reigns, getting shoved down our throats. And in the most polite way, because I'm trying to think of the positive way, the way they're booking Roman Reigns, and we should probably, if you want to get in something after this, we can, but we should probably move on to NXT. We're getting way too sidetracked. Yeah. But I just want to say, for Roman Reigns, just real fast, it is not his fault And the way that they're booking him is doing no favors. He's the guy who finally beat Brock Lesnar, who could not be defeated for an entire year, and he's being thrown with the Shield. I mean, he's the Universal Champion. He should be going solo. He should be taking care of stuff by himself. They ruined this by putting the Shield with him to think that will stop the boos, when all you had to do is think of something good for him. You know, there was one WrestleMania, the day after he defeated The Undertaker, you either hated it or you didn't. But he went out there, they booed him out of the building for like 15 minutes, and all he did was say, "This is my yard now." He dropped the mic, and I can honestly say that was one of the best things I've seen from Roman Reigns in a long time. It was the best booking for him just beating The Undertaker, saying that the situation they're booing him, for him to say that, drop the mic and leave was so great. Right. But for some reason, they're not doing him any favors. He's a young guy who they say you're going to be the face, and anyone who says, "I hate Roman Reigns, he's getting pushed down our throats." This is a guy who has a family, and if you're a young buck from NXT, the owner of the company says, "Trust me, you're going to be the next face." Who is going to say, "No, I'm going to try and be a fan favorite. I'm going to try and do what the fans want"? You guys have to understand, Roman, he wants to be the next big guy, but he can't.
Who knows?
Exactly.
Maybe he actually hates the way he's being booked, but you can't argue with a guy that if he's going to get pushed as the main guy and get that main guy money, you know, at the end of the day, it's like every single professional athlete out there, the money does make a difference sometimes, and it sucks that he doesn't really have a lot of creative freedom behind his character, which, you know, a guy like Roman Reigns should. That's another problem that has nothing to do with Reigns. It has to do with the people in the back. The guy should have a lot more creative freedom in his character and how he portrays his character and how he presents it than what it seems that he actually does, to me, because it looks like he's not trying to make fun of Roman Reigns. He's actually a puppet. He's literally Vince McMahon's puppet.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think he has the experience to. Like someone like AJ Styles, Cena, or Undertaker, they could basically say, "I don't want to do this. I prefer if we don't." And creative would back off. But for Roman Reigns, he's still a rookie. The dude is like, 31 years old? He doesn't have enough experience to say, "I don't like this. I'd rather not," because he's too afraid of what might happen. If he said he doesn't want to do this, he's afraid that creative might just be like, "Well, forget you." But the thing is, dude, they're going to push this guy no matter what. And he's a rookie who's just afraid to speak up, you know, and this is us talking positive about Roman Reigns. We're backing him up. So anyone who said that, you know, you guys rag on Roman Reigns all the time, we're actually trying to see where he's coming from and whatnot. So there you go.
Well, just so we can stop this right there, I'm going to hit the bell there. So we can hit the ring bell, and we're going to talk about something other than the main roster, which this show is not about the main roster. It's about NXT, and that's right. The NXT chants are raining down upon us right now, Michael. We're here to talk about NXT, and this show this week was highlighted by the main event of Nikki Cross versus Bianca Belair. I know a lot of people were very, very excited for this. This is definitely a really highlighted main event, and something people really wanted to get see out of these two, because I think it's the first. This is pretty sure this is the first time these two have clashed together on NXT.
And it's an undefeated Bianca Belair in NXT. Undefeated. Will Nikki Cross be able to defeat the streak?
And something we're going to keep track of. I'm actually going to keep track from now on the show, Michael. This is actually episode 468 of NXT. So they're getting pretty close to episode 500. So I wonder if they're going to do a big special, or they might wait till 1,000. So who knows? But again, this show highlighted by Bianca Belair and Nikki Cross going one-on-one with each other. We'll get into that main event when we talk about it. But we didn't open up with that. We opened up with an interesting tag team match. Literally, it kind of threw me off guard, but I can understand why they did it, because they still want to feature these two guys in some way and keep them out there, because they do such a good job in the ring. And, you know, at this point at Danny Burch's age, you know, you want to keep him on TV as much as possible. Man, the guy's winding down at the end of his career. He's pretty old. He's been around the game a long time. But we had Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch facing off against Adrian Jaoud. I always forget how to say his name. And Cesar Bononi. Team Black Belt for you. I guess me, the only one out there. But for you, Tanaya Conti fans and know about what she's been doing around the live events and this new faction they have down there that's been going around. I don't know if they're going to do anything with it.
They should. I mean, I know in the live events they test the waters. I know there's some live events where the Forgotten Sons get team up with Lacey Evans. So sometimes you just test stuff. And it makes sense because they're the Black Belt Army. Tanaya Conti's a Black Belt. I know
So it's Adrian Jaud's also black belt, and they just added Cesar Bononi in there because he can speak Portuguese, I guess. So that's one thing. But we had that. I mean, we got them on TV, so that's pretty good. And they faced off against Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch. A really good dynamic here of a tag team match to open the show. I think it really got the fans into it because they were really, really behind. Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch are really over with the crowd, and especially the Full Sail crowd. These guys, again, like I said, these guys are really exceptional in the ring. They have really good chemistry with each other. They really carry the match to that intensity level, especially out of Danny Burch, who comes from the UK, and he's all about that strong style wrestling. He brings that to the match as well, and it's really cool to watch these guys go at it, man. So it wasn't that much of a tag team match. It was kind of quick. Adrian and Cesar got their offense in a little bit. They carried the whole beginning of the match, but then Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch started building up momentum. Obviously, their chemistry is a lot better than what Jaud and Bononi's is, and they hit that double team finisher, that impale DDT. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah. That dude, he went flat straight down. I'm not talking like a Rob Van Dam DDT per se, but that dude went bloop, flat down on his face. So
yeah, man, nice. He landed hard on his head.
Oh my
that
God.
Was an interesting spot, but that's a crazy tag team finish. It's definitely an interesting double team move by Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan, but they pick up the victory over Team Black Belt there. And you know what? I think it's just a way to keep these guys fresh in the tag team division. Obviously, the tag team titles are involved in something else, and I think they're going to be on hold maybe until after TakeOver. I don't think we're going to see much more tag team action. Maybe just kind of feuds going on here and there. We already have the feud of the Street Profits and
the Mighty, even though I'm calling TM61. Since they want to rename their group, I'll call them TM62. So I hate that. I hate the name The Mighty. It sounds so cartoonish. So TM62.
It does sound cartoon. It is a cartoon, but it's a good way to keep Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch fresh in the tag team division. I think it's a good way. I love how NXT does that. Like they still have these matches like these random matches like this just to keep the division hot and not let it cool down. You know what I mean? So I thought this was a pretty good idea to do it, and it was a good way to open the show.
You mean you'd rather not see the same tag teams take on each other every single week?
Unless you're going to give me Undisputed Era and Mustache Mountain every week, because I think that'd be probably the only tag team match that I would want to see every single goddamn week. Because what they pull off in a match is just beautiful. We saw the whole thing with Mustache Mountain and Undisputed Era, the whole storyline with Tyler Bate and Trent Seven. Like, Jesus, man, I'd watch that every single day. Every single day.
A reason to have a tag team match that isn't random every week. Oh, well, that's new to me, but all right. Sounds good for this show, this brand.
Anyways, we're going to move on here. Probably the big thing out of tonight's episode, which it got a lot of people talking, and NXT does a good job of that, of getting a lot of people to talk, and it's about Tommaso Ciampa, and he's got a theme song. We have a theme song. No longer is it going to look like he comes out to booze, but the one thing I love about this, Michael, is that he acknowledged the theme song. That was the best part about this. Like, he said that it was a way to tell everyone's cue to shut up. I think he's referring to when he used to come out with no theme song and they would just boo and chant the shit out of him and then nonstop. You know what I mean? It's so he can't hear it, and it would get them to shut up. I love that. I really love that. And I actually like his new theme song. You know, I think it goes well with his character.
I had no idea that he was coming out with new theme music. I swear, I thought Taz was coming out.
I think everybody thought that. I think that's the same. I swear to God, that's the same tune. That's got to be the same heartbeat tune that they did. They might have spliced it up a little bit, but man, I was confused a little bit. I'm like, who? Like, who's? For a second, I thought it was. It's just gonna come out of nowhere. What's his name that they just signed?
Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle. But then I saw the yellow glass shatter, and before he even said Ciampa, I'm like, oh my God, this is Ciampa. This is a new theme song. So, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. I know a lot of people weren't a fan for whatever reason. I actually liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm. So he talked about and addressed the speculation that he might have attacked Aleister Black. Ciampa kind of denied attacking Black, saying that he would have attacked him in front of an audience so everyone could watch. He wouldn't do it behind his back. While he intended to jump Black that night, he didn't mention that he wanted to jump Black that night. He said, well, someone else beat me to it, so that's that. He's like, Ciampa, he was basically curious about who the assailant is, even though that he quote-unquote doesn't know who did it, and I will get into why I put quotes around that. He wishes to congratulate him. Nevertheless, Ciampa went on to say that the outcome of the potential triple threat match, that Black loses, Gargano loses, and Ciampa would still win. That was, and I want to say why I did quote-unquotes around this, Michael. I think he did it. I think I don't think there's anyone else at this point. After what we got out of this entire episode of NXT tonight, I've been trying to think hard about it. I actually think it's Ciampa. I think it was him.
You see, it sounds way too obvious, but then I'm thinking about the time when, they were trying to find out who attacked Big Cass, and it was so obvious it was Big Cass. But they threw all that stuff in the bag. We had the revival secretly in the background, and it was obviously Big Cass. So it's like, right. I don't know what to do here. It's but hey, everyone who's listening right now, guys, get at us in the live chat or tweet us. Who do you guys think took out Aleister Black? I mean, Kyle thinks it's actually Ciampa. I put in my vote that it was Johnny Gargano, and thinking that this might be a nice heel turn for him, and it's a way for him to get out of the feud with Tommaso Ciampa. And yeah, so far I got Gargano, he's got Ciampa, ironically. And who do you guys think may have done it?
Mm-hmm. Interesting, very very interesting.
Oh, by the way, if I can say real
actually, no,
fast,
Michael, before you go, I'm going to let you do that right now because I actually. This is a mini botch. I know I'm going to get criticized by the other show, but my charger cord needs to be plugged into my laptop, so I'm going to go really quickly in the other room and let you talk about that while I go grab the charger cord. Okay?
All right, we'll do. All right. So Kyle's out of here. So I just want to talk about Tommaso Ciampa. He put on a really good segment, and I really do love where this is going. You know, I love that whole who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin, and when he came back, he was investigating everyone, and he was giving Stone Cold stunners, and it's a wrestling show, but when they bring in great storylines like this on who could have done it, it's really good, because then it gets the fans invested in the storyline. Who could it have been? And I just wanted to point out, before Kyle went to go get his charger, that Tommaso Ciampa said that he wanted to thank him or her. So I do like the fact it's probably, and I'm not trying to sound sexist, it's probably not a female wrestler, but I just like the fact they keep promoting the fact it could possibly be a women's wrestler, which I don't know why. Let's just say, for example, in the video, it did show Shayna Baszler, it showed Candice LeRae, it showed Kairi Sane. If it was revealed to be Shayna Baszler or Kairi Sane or Candice LeRae, where do you go with that storyline? I mean, they're not going to have Aleister Black versus Shayna Baszler, which would be a good match, but I'm just saying that they continue to promote the fact it could be a male superstar, it could be a female superstar. But once again, guys, I'm going for Gargano, Kyle's going for Ciampa, and let us know who you guys think it might be or when it might actually be revealed. You know, and of course, if you don't know, one of the reasons why they had to do this is because Aleister Black did get injured at a house show before the last takeover. He had pulled, I think, a groin injury. Ouch. So they had to get him out of the match. I feel like it was the right thing to do because, you know, he was basically mixed up in the whole Gargano and Ciampa feud. And this was the third match in the feud. And it just seems so random to throw someone who's currently not involved in that feud in the feud. So I don't know.
I'm back to agree.
Maybe there you go. Maybe it was a blessing, but yeah, there you go. It was excellent timing because I seriously thought that Aleister Black and this whole feud with Gargano and Ciampa was just so random. And I do think I don't want to see anyone get injured.
They're making us think.
They're making us think. So there you go.
I can't wait to see the outcome.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know if you missed it. I was just bringing up the fact that if you remember during the segment, Ciampa said I wanted to thank him or her. So I was basically talking about how they keep promoting the fact that it could possibly be a woman. But I was just basically saying if it is revealed to be a female wrestler, where do you go after this? They're not going to have Aleister Black versus a female. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I understand. Yes, they want to promote the women and say a woman could have possibly have done it, but I really don't think it's a woman's wrestler.
If they're gonna incorporate it, the only woman I'd say like it'd be Nikki Cross or. I think that's probably why, because they released that footage of Nikki Cross on the roof. It could be either. I know Shayna Baszler would be a credible one as well. It's just interesting. And then the rest of that segment, Ciampa was like talking to his title belt. Ciampa's such a great champion, man. The guy's been actually a breath of fresh air for that main title. He even brings up the fact that like I make this title perform in the bring it to a main event status. Because even before him, Aleister Black did have a couple matches that weren't even the main event. So. It's crazy that he did bring up that fact.
It was actually pretty sad. Every single takeover that Aleister Black was champion, he never main evented, which I feel bad because then he lost the title. So, ouch. But yeah.
But then he embraced the title by hugging it close to his chest, and that was the end of that. So Tommaso Ciampa giving us a pretty interesting segment on NXT this week. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. I know they're still waiting on the recovery process of Aleister Black, and we'll actually inform you guys and keep you updated on his recovery process over the next couple of weeks here on the show.
If rumors are true, I hear Zelina Vega has been taking real good care of him, so watch out. I saw the pictures.
I thought that was Peyton Royce.
No, there's a picture. And honestly, before everyone jumps the gun and thinking Zelina Vega and Aleister Black are in a relationship, all it did was show Aleister Black kiss her on a cheek in a picture. That could just be like two good friends kissing each other on the cheek.
That's normal.
No, it's normal. Why not? Sorry, Austin Aries, but yeah, you never know. But yeah. Oh, by the way, one thing I gotta say is I don't know if you caught it, but at the end of the Tommaso Ciampa segment, he was on the outside and he grabbed a sign from a little kid, which I thought was really funny. So, so good at playing to the fans.
He is a master heel. That guy is amazing, man. The guy, he's literally the ultimate heel, man. He's getting to that level. Imagine if they. I can't really tell what they would do with him on the main roster because obviously it is what it is with the do NXT talent on the main roster. But man, if they portray him as this kind of heel right now on the main roster, the guy could be one of the greatest heels of all time. Man, the guy is a perfect heel. But move on here. We had Shayna Baszler versus I guess I can call her an enhancement talent or someone from the Performance Center. We got Violet Payne.
I love her last name.
I don't think she inflicted any pain at all on Shayna in this match.
She got thrown into the Shayna Hall of Pain though. Yeah, but yeah. She is a cutie though, so good luck to her. So.
This was literally just a beat down from Shayna Baszler. Basically, a lot of people were giving it kind of shit, saying like, "Oh, why does she need to be doing this?" I think the real picture here was. They're showing how pissed off she is since losing that title. That title was everything to her, and now she's going to just take no names now and just, let out her frustration on anyone that gets in her way and everyone that gets put in front of her. And you can clearly see it. She joint manipulated the shit out of Violet Payne here, obviously, like she does in every single match. And then locks in the rear naked choke for the win and then doesn't let go. Then starts, just teasing her and celebrating over her body. Then gets out of the ring, then goes back and does it again. Or I think she does it a second time, and then she gets out and then goes back and does it a third time. Pretty sure she locked it in 3 times. But basically just basically killing Violet Payne. Like this was murder in the ring.
Oh, man. I actually had, not to nitpick, I had one problem with this. And, she tried her best, but every time when Shayna applied the Kurofuda clutch, she acts like she passes out. But then every time when Shayna comes back, she locks it in and she's up again. She's like, "Oh, I'm back," and then I'm going to pass out again.
It's like that choke woke her up and then put her back to sleep.
Oh, man. How sad. But
I think Violet Payne needs to go back to the Performance Center and maybe work on some selling. That was interesting. But even the selling with their joint manipulation, I like their face expressions. It just, to me, it looked too fake. Like she wasn't making it seem real. So obviously she's a developmental talent, so she's got some work to do. But good for you, Violet Payne. Way to be the test dummy for Shayna Baszler here. And then basically at the end, Baszler just tossed Payne out of the ring. On commentary, the announcers kind of played up that Baszler wanting a title rematch against Kairi Sane. When that is, who knows? We'll have to see what happens, if it's going to be on an episode of NXT, or are we going to wait? Oh, they're going to play this all the way to TakeOver, which that will play into our segment coming up, What's Next. So we'll wait for that. We'll move on here. Outside, they had this outside building shot of heavy machinery. They were conducting an independent investigation. These guys are freaking hilarious, man. I love both these guys.
Great.
On who attacked Aleister Black. Luckily, they were filming it on a cell phone for the world to see, and many thanks for that. The skit led to Ciampa confronting Heavy Machinery, and he had words to say to Otis Dozovich. Regal comes in suddenly and enters the scene saying, basically like, oh, Ciampa, thanks for showing up. You've been dodging my calls. Now that you're here, come into my office. We got some talking to do. Now, one thing I want to point out here, Michael, we didn't see what happened in the office. How come after we seen footage of, the whole the guy that was talking to William Regal and then Ono came in? Why did we not get? This is what's getting me, and I think they did this on purpose because this is something we cannot look past. Why didn't we get the footage of whatever they were talking about in the office? Something is up here. Why? Because it would only make sense. Why wouldn't they would just show William Regal ripping Tommaso Ciampa a new asshole for not showing up, being him the champion, and asking him some questions about that night? How come we didn't see that?
Exactly, and I'm insulted that he would talk to Tommaso Ciampa, but he would not talk to Cassius Ohno.
How dare you talk to the champ like that? So I don't know. And it brings up questions like maybe you never know. Are Regal and Ciampa in cahoots? This is something you can think about too, and it gets you thinking. It may not happen, but it's interesting to think something like that, right? Like, why didn't we get the footage? I'm pretty sure it wasn't a mistake. We didn't. Maybe they meant. I'm pretty sure it wasn't that they meant to put it in. They kind of cut it out. No, I'm pretty sure we would have gotten the footage of whatever they need to say to each other in the office, but we didn't get any footage. Why? It brings the question: why? Why did we not get any footage of that?
Well, if I can give you the simplest explanation is, unlike the main roster, we don't need these many interviews on the show to fill 3 hours. So there you go.
That's my explanation. I'm gonna go with the reason that maybe Regal and Ciampa are in cahoots here. Something is going on here. But really quickly over the chat before we continue, we got Datila that joined a while ago. Thank you for joining in, Datila. We also got right now Cuba Girl 125. Sorry she's late. She's watching last night's Lucha Underground. Hopefully it was a good episode. Thank you for joining the chat, Cuba Girl 125. She puts which is still better than NXT. I don't know about that.
How dare you?
You just made the list.
You made.
Anyways, we'll move on here. This is a really cool promo by Undisputed Era. I love their promos, and I've said it before on the show. I love how they do their promos on that like little stanchion thing, and it's kind of like an NWO-esque promo. Like they all have their piece, and they kind of talk like they're cocky shit, and they run the place, right? So you get that NWO feel with these guys, and I love the promos like this. They cut a promo on the Raw Raiders. Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish mock the Raiders. Basically saying like, what kind of Vikings wait for their opponent to be beaten down and then surprise and jump attack them? They're not Vikings at all. You know what I mean? Like just making fun of their characters. I thought that was pretty cool. Adam Cole interrupted the chitting to address that Ricochet and Pete Dunne champion versus champion match is set for next week, and he claimed that the match should be called the Adam Cole Invitational because the winner will eventually lose to Adam Cole. Oh man, I love these guys, man. That's why they're my favorite. And I'm wearing the shirt right now. There's no video version of the podcast this week, guys. We'll try to get it running next week. I actually got Salarex making some YouTube double camera graphics for us, so we'll hopefully get that up soon. But anyways, I love Undisputed Era. This was another good promo. I have to get that new shirt now with the addition of Roderick Strong into the logo. But this was awesome. And you had Bobby Fish in the middle holding the mini Dusty Rhodes Classic trophy.
When did it get that small? Didn't it used to be this giant trophy with Dusty Rhodes like two boots on there?
He couldn't just sit there and hold that big trophy. You couldn't see Bobby Fish if he was sitting there holding the trophy.
Oh, my God. It just... when he brought that trophy out for the first time, I thought it was them making fun of the Dusty Rhodes Classic trophy, but it's the actual trophy. So, I don't know. It looks like some type of kiddie soccer trophy.
Better than that, was a good promo. Very, very good.
It was
promo
good, bro.
by-
I love Kyle O'Reilly. They were talking about something, and he goes, "I'm too famous to go to the grocery store," and I just laughed. I was like, "Dude!" And his expression, the way he sells the joke, he's like, he's so cocky. It's so funny. So famous to go grocery store. My gosh, I love this group.
Right?
Don't go to the main roster ever, guys.
Yeah,
Stay where you are.
Stay here. So we moved on. We had Lars Sullivan defeating Raul Mendoza.
It's got to get credible.
Basically, just squash match. I mean, nothing really to say here. Just another match to show how much of a freak, pun intended, Lars Sullivan is. And he just basically made quick work of Raul Mendoza and found himself in the clutches of the freak accident. And 1, 2, 3, Lars Sullivan is your winner over Raul Mendoza. I mean, I don't think, if you're a betting guy, I don't think anyone would have bet against Lars Sullivan here. Just saying.
Hey, Raul Mendoza was in the Cruiserweight Classic. Don't sell him short. I was actually pretty impressed by Raul Mendoza's performance. So it was actually pretty good. Yeah. I do want to point out, though, I seriously thought EC3, after getting assaulted by Lars Sullivan, in which he was never punished for, even though they're trying to find out who assaulted Aleister Black, but when Lars Sullivan basically does the same exact thing, nothing happens to him. But I was seriously expecting EC3 to be out here, cause some type of interference. And I do want to point out that there was no mention of EC3 at all. They didn't mention that Lars Sullivan beat him up last week.
We don't have to rush things here on the show, right? We can take things slow.
Okay.
All right. There's not a takeover every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks to build really quick for. So, we can take our time with this. That's why I love NXT. We take our time. We make the storylines make sense. And we do everything right to portray the story in the ring to make it a good match. That's what we do in NXT. That's why we love it. So maybe they're just doing this now. Maybe next week we'll get something backstage with EC3 or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll go up to Raul Mendoza and be like, "Yeah, good job, bud. Nice try," or something like that. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, but I don't know. I know you're talking about maybe we'll get it in the next couple weeks, but EC3 and Lars Sullivan's a really mismatch. But hey, it could work. They can make it work. We'll see what happens. They had another outside the building interview here with the NXT United Kingdom champion Pete Dunne. He was hyping up the title versus title match next week, which I'm really hyped for. The matchup is a result of the fallout from Dunne and Ricochet losing a tag team match against the Undisputed Era. Dunne kind of blamed Ricochet for the loss, but Dunne admitted that the quarrel with Undisputed Era was his fault. So Dunne coming up here and admitting that it was his fault for him getting involved. So Dunne owning up to that. He also said that he is the longest reigning champion, while Ricochet just won his title, basically saying he won it almost like a week ago. Dunne was not worried about losing. Rather, his only worry was how to fit another title into his mouth to come out with 2 titles. That'd be kind of weird. I don't know if he can do it. I don't know if he's got the teeth strength or the tooth strength to hold both titles in his mouth.
Pete Dunne, he's great, but dude, his voice is so monotone. Whenever he speaks, it's like, hey, Pete Dunne, so what do you think of next week's match? He's like, I think it's good. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to punch them. I'm going to put something in my mouth.
That a little bit. Yeah. It's probably a UK thing. Maybe we don't get it. Maybe we'll have to ask Craig Messy about that. Anyways, so yeah. Big hype match next week. Dunne versus Ricochet, first ever champion versus champion match. So both titles will be on the line. That'd be interesting. I know it's the obvious thing you're thinking of, right? For two guys here, look at it in depth, Michael. We know that no one's walking out with 2 titles, but could you imagine that one of these guys walks out with 2 titles? How nuts that would be.
That would be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so they kind of followed this up right away.
I can imagine both of these guys walking out with like, if Pete Dunne won with double champions, I'd be happy. If Ricochet won with 2 titles, I'd be happy. So I don't know.
That would feed Ricochet's ego so much if he won both titles, man. The guy's already cocky enough as it is, and we clearly saw it with this. Like right after we had the backstage interview with Kathy Kelly, with Ricochet responding to Dunne's comments. Ricochet basically himself said that he's only been champion for a month. Ricochet countered by saying that he faced many other challenges throughout his career. Dunne is just another obstacle. Ricochet also vowed to be the one and only dual champion. So Ricochet quickly kind of responding over to what Pete Dunne said earlier in the day that day. So It's going to be a grudge match next week. It's going to be definitely a grudge match. These guys are both looking to be a dual champion, so it's going to be interesting to see with that. Also, with the Undisputed Era coming out and saying that it's basically the Adam Cole Invitational. We'll see maybe if they're going to be at ringside or in the crowd. I can see them being in the crowd watching this match. Like, they're all like in and they're making fun of it, like imitating the guys. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like a New Day comedy thing, but, not actually making pancakes at ringside, but actually paying attention to the match. That's all I'm going to say about that. We had a vignette for the Forgotten Sons, which is really, really well done. Again, I say it a lot, too, on the show. The production team in NXT is amazing. It showed with this vignette, Michael, the Forgotten Sons. I'm hoping you've seen it.
Oh, I did see it. It was really good, but man, I can't stop picturing Blake without Blake and Murphy. So it's like,
yeah, it's
I'm
tough.
watching this. I'm like,
past it. You gotta look past it.
That's Blake from Blake Murphy and Alexa Bliss. I can't take him serious, but okay. But it was good. It was. Really
love
good.
what they were saying in the promo too, like saying like they're here, but they've always been here, but they've been forgotten. It ties into their name, the Forgotten Sons. I'm loving this. If they're gonna build these guys up, this is a good way to get them introduced as well, man. I love what they do at NXT with these guys. I just hope they do something with them. They walked around stomping through the puddles throughout the promo in their boots, because, I don't know, fuck the world, right? It is what it is. So we'll see what happens with them. An angle shot. There was like a YouTube thing that they showed about this. I've seen this with Dakota Kai. She's going to team up with Deonna Purrazzo. Again, she's going to face Lacey Evans and Aaliyah. There was that little skit they did in this random hotel or whatever, and then like arguing with each other. It's like the camera was interviewing these NXT fans, and all of a sudden you hear this shouting in the background. And I don't know, the argument, it could have been better. I think it was fake. It seemed too. You can tell it was so scripted. Like, it was bad.
Mm-hmm. It was like a bad segment from a bad high school teenage TV show. I was like, oh, what is going on here? It's like, yes, they were arguing, and then when Lacey Evans came in there, she said, oh, hold on here, what's going on here? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is getting too cheesy.
Like it was written by NXT. I'm just gonna say that. This doesn't seem like an NXT thing. It seems like a, other branded writing promo thing.
I don't know. Was Road Dogg in town? Did he write this? I mean,
he might have been.
If I could be completely honest, I felt like they didn't have time to write a script, and they literally went up to these four girls and say, "Hey, here is the segment. We just need you guys to argue and say whatever you want." And it just seemed like they kind of just went off the rails, and they could not improv too good. It was bad. I'm pretty sure the tag team match is going to be great, but it was a bad segment. So, see, guys, sometimes we do clown on NXT. It's not all great all the time.
That was poor. I thought that was really poor. Also, just quickly to the chat, how would Dunn hold both titles in his mouth? Yeah, that's a good question. On New Sanity, I don't think Forgotten Sons should be portrayed closer to Sanity. I think they need to be their own thing. I can see where you can see the resemblance in Sanity, but I really hope that they become their own thing here, and they sway away from trying to be compared to them. Also, she says, so here's a question. Is Aaliyah the new Carmella of NXT? God, I hope not. I really don't think NXT needs a Carmella regardless. Unless you're going to be the Carmella that, at least shows some fight, and I don't know. Carmella is cringe. She's our girl, Michael. Like, we know we like Carmella. It's just, I don't think Aaliyah should be like a Carmella of NXT. I know that's what she's kind of being portrayed as, but I don't know. Aaliyah's a freaking an alumni, or not even alumni. She's a veteran right now in NXT. She's been in NXT forever. So I really hope she doesn't get built into that Carmella of NXT.
It's sad to say, but there are some people you look at in NXT and you think that they may never make it up to the main roster, and they're basically just here in NXT. They might just be here in NXT for the rest of their career.
Which is sometimes a good thing. This is also a good
sometimes
thing.
It's a good thing, yeah, but it's like sometimes I look at someone like Aaliyah, I look at someone like Cassius Ohno, and I'm just thinking to myself, or Raul Mendoza, I think they're not going any further than NXT, sadly.
Yeah.
I know that may sound harsh, but I just
NXT
look at people like them, I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
You might get thrown into if they need a spot for a Royal Rumble in the main roster or something. They need a quick ad, or if they have a greatest Royal Rumble, again, that they want to go up to like 60 wrestlers, then they need a quick spot there. Anyways, enough talking about that shit. Mr. Regal was in his office. He was talking with I don't know who that guy is. That's like an attorney, or did they ever say who the hell this guy was? An investigator, an FBI agent? Who the hell is this guy?
I've never seen this guy before.
Know his name.
Exactly. For all I know, he could be that counselor that's been
Maybe he attacked Aleister Black. Who is that?
Oh, that'd be so good. So good.
It was me, Austin.
Oh my God. Wouldn't it be crazy that two scenarios. Number one, the assailant came out, pulled off his mask, and it was DDP, and he was like, it was me again. Or two, he takes off his mask, and it was Vince. Vince is in NXT, and he was like, it was me, Aleister. I'm here in NXT to kill it. Me and the NWO, or the Shield, whatever.
See, I don't know why. I think eventually it's tough that I'd want something like that to happen in the future, like the main roster versus NXT. You know what I mean? But like, Vince will never let NXT to be as big as it already is. The NXT is going to have its ceiling with trying to get better than main roster. It's never going to be better than the main roster. To Vince, no matter what, it's always going to be looked at as the minor leagues, which is clearly not the minor leagues. Clearly, when maybe I think 80%. Let me think. 80% of the people on the main roster came from NXT. I know a lot of them came from NXT, and it kind of developed into a better character now. But there's a lot of characters that are on the main roster right now that are the same as what they were at NXT. Like they didn't need to get any better. They were just put in NXT first to build some knowledge of these guys. So you know what I mean? Like. Mm-hmm. When Shinsuke and Finn Balor came over from New Japan, they already had accomplished a lot in their careers. They didn't need to be developed into anything. So all they need to do was learn how they do things on WWE TV. So it is not as much as they want to label it as a developmental brand, I don't see it as a developmental brand. I see it maybe being a show that they want to test. It's only a developmental brand in a way when they want to test some people from the Performance Center in NXT. When they have people that come from the indies that are already established into NXT, it's just for them to get their name over with the WWE audience.
I mean, you have so many people on the main roster who have actually quoted saying that NXT was better. I think I saw an interview or read about where Drew McIntyre actually said he says that NXT is better than the main roster. This is before he went up to the main roster again. But Drew McIntyre did an interview. For those of you who forgot, Drew McIntyre was on the main roster. He got let go. He came back through NXT. And he was doing this interview where he's talking about how NXT is better and about how it's better than when he was on the main roster.
He was the main guy in NXT. He was the champion. He was the push. And now he's being force-fed to be one of Braun Strowman's cronies and teaming up with Dolph Ziggler for whatever fucking reason they thought that was a good idea. But anyways, it is what it is. We keep getting swayed away here. Let's keep talking about what happened here. The main story that Mr. Regal and the potential attacker or attorney, whoever this guy is, Ono comes into the office. Barged into the office, you can say.
Well, we should say first that Kairi Sane was in there first, and her name got cleared. So
she's clear. Ono was upset Regal had yet to question him as a part of the ongoing investigation. Regal informed Ono that it was because Zayn gave Ono his alibi, but basically it was just Ono trying to tell Regal, like, what does a guy have to do to get noticed around here? I've been around here for so long. I've been defeating people. I got a lot of wins under my belt. He's like, what do I got? The best part was when he said, like, what do I got to do? Do I got to show up to a takeover in the crowd with a suit on? And is that a good way to notice me? And he's basically jabbing Matt Riddle in a sense, or even everyone that's done that before. And he's basically saying, like, all the people that have come after him have leapfrogged him into main event status and even got pushed to the main roster. So this was really good. For Cassius Ohno, he needed something to continue the way he's doing in NXT. He's basically a slow builder, I guess. We've been waiting for something with him, and there's a lot of people quoting that maybe he is the attacker. Maybe he could still be. We never know. But this was a good promo, Michael. This was actually really, really well done. The way Ono presented himself and the way he delivered this promo, really well done.
It's we all kind of knew that Cassius Ohno was going to go heel, but the way they're booking him going heel is actually really good. I've talked to you about this. It's basically NXT's version of Randy Orton, about how Randy Orton comes out here saying he's now a legend and he's going to kill all the fan favorites. This is basically Cassius Ohno here with his version, basically saying that, you know what, I'm here, I'm being overlooked, now I am basically going to kill all these newbies coming in and taking the spot that I should have. And there you go. And, why is Kashi Sono not getting pushed? Man, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have the right look. He is a pretty big guy, and I don't know. Did they want to push a guy who's kind of like pudgy? But and a lot of people, just to throw it out there, you may not know, but Kashi Sono, a long, long time ago, he was actually supposed to take Roman Reigns' place in the Shield. It was supposed to be Cassius Ohno, Seth Rollins, and I think Dean Ambrose, because I remember CM Punk gave an interview or something, because if you guys remember when the Shield came into the main roster, they helped CM Punk during his run, and CM Punk said that it was originally supposed to be Chris Hero, a.k.a. Cassius Ohno, right, Seth Rollins, and I think he might have said Fandango, actually, instead of Dean Ambrose. But they decided not to go with him. They decided to go with Roman Reigns, decided to go with Dean Ambrose. Seth Rollins was always supposed to be in the group, and there you go. Can you guys imagine Cassius Ohno being the big dog, the main guy in the WWE if they had gone with that? But, yeah.
So I love the way what he said, leaving the office. He's like, sure, you can play with your, your shiny new toy now, but when he comes around, I'll be here. And he stands up and looks at Rio and goes, bro, basically quoting Matt Riddle and how he says bro all the time. So,
I really? Because I thought it was going to be Cassius Ohno versus Zack Ryder next week, right, bro?
Yeah, woo, the return of Zack Ryder.
You know it. Yes.
No, it's Matt Riddle. But it looks like they're going the way of Cassius Ohno, Matt Riddle. That's going to be interesting. But again, a really good promo done by Cassius Ohno. Got to give credit to the guy where it's due. Besides of how people feel about him and his work ethic and the way he presents his body and all that stuff, this was a really, really good promo by Cassius Ohno, and I'm really intrigued to see where they go with it. Moving on to the main event, Nikki Cross versus Bianca Belair ended in a via double countout. Very, very interesting end to this match. I really couldn't pick the winner, so I think this is a smart move to do a double countout. Amazing, man. Bianca Belair is getting a lot more over with the crowd too, and I believe she is the heel in this case, or maybe she's at that tweener level. I can't really tell, but it's a decent match.
That's the thing about NXT. It's you can be a heel, but if they know how good you are in the ring, they cheer you on, because that's the thing about NXT. It's all about the wrestling. Yes, the storylines are good, but the fans really love good wrestling. And if you're a good wrestler like Bianca Belair, who I can't even believe has only had 1 year of experience in professional wrestling, they cheer you on, they know how good you are, and they support you. So Bianca Belair, unbelievable. Man, do not go up to the main roster, but she future champion right here. Future champion. I can't wait to see what she does. Big fan.
So this was a decent match. I love the one spot where she literally deadlifted Nikki Cross up. That's one thing that's cool that she does in her matches too. Bianca Belair, she does that deadlifting spot, and it gets over with the crowd. It's an awesome spot.
The return of the hair whip. I haven't seen that move in a long time. Got Nikki good.
Yeah. Oh man, that was. You can hear that smack, I think, from outer space, man. I'm glad we got that back, because we haven't seen that. Man, what's the last time we saw a hair whip? It's got to be when she first debuted after the Mae Young Classic. It was got to be around there when she was just demolishing the enhancement talents. But I'm liking Bianca Belair, man. I'm loving her work. She is homegrown. That's another good thing about her, man. She's done such a good job developing into the wrestler she is today, man. There's a lot of potential with Bianca Belair. But how this match went, ended a double countout. Basically, they had that one spot on the ramp that looked pretty brutal. It caused the referee to count out, and they're still fighting each other and brawling. Referees tried to separate. There was that awesome spot in the commentary booth where Belair threw Cross over the desk. Cross then climbed on the table and jumped off like a flying crossbody, and like Belair and like the rest, like it looked like a bowling pin's just falling down here. And everyone just kind of selling that, and then the show kind of ended with Cross with that grin, that famous grin she has, that scary crazy girl grin, and that's how we ended NXT. This was very, very well done.
It was good. I got to tell you, when I saw the double countout, I did not like it at all. I was like, oh, man. I do not like any show that ends with an ending like a double countout or DQ.
You can't pick a winner here.
Yeah, I understand that, but here's the thing. So I didn't like the double countout. However, the way that they sold it and what happened afterwards, I loved. Okay, so there's one thing of saying that here is something if they're going to give us a double count out, they give us something after the match that still gets the fan invested. What they got was a brawl that was great, a brawl that didn't have to result in a main roster. The entire roster comes out here and separate them. Nope, they let them fight. And yeah, I like how this ended. I don't like a double count out, but the way they sold it afterwards was great, and that's what NXT does. They send you home happy.
So this was another good episode of NXT, and I think I have an idea where this is going to go, but I'll save that for our next couple of segments. But yeah, another good episode of NXT. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to next week. Obviously, with the champion versus champion match, that's literally going to be the highlight of the show, and I can't wait to see what they do with the rest of the show as well. But Michael, we're going to take a moment here, and we're going to give a special shout-out to our network sponsor, and that is ExtremeWrestlingShirts.com. They specialize in WWE and MMA apparel with over 10,000 products in stock right now, from T-shirts to sweaters to muscle shirts, even Halloween costumes. Yeah, they're going to have some Halloween costumes. You guys want to dress up like one of your favorite wrestlers, John Cena, or anything like that, they'll have some interesting Halloween costumes for you to check out on there. You're not going to want to miss checking out this website, guys, so go check out ExtremeWrestlingShirts.com. As a special added bonus, you can use code NOHOLDS at checkout, and you will save an extra 10% on your order. That's right, a perfect 10% off your order using code NOHOLDS. It keeps using code NOHOLDS at checkout. So go check them out. The official sponsor of the No Holds Barred Network, ExtremeWrestlingShirts.com.
I only have one question. Do they have a Roman Reigns costume?
They might.
Or can I just go to a local dollar store and get a police vest myself and
I
make it
imagine
myself?
you can, and if you want to spray paint an R on there, if you want to support Connor's Cure, I'm sure they can send you a patch to sew on there like they do for Roman Reigns.
Cool.
You do what you got to do. Paint some Samoan tattoos on you and buy some black cargo pants. The Roman Reigns costume should be a real easy thing to do at Halloween. Draw a really shitty goatee on yourself, and you're ready to go.
Yes, I'll carry a stereo everywhere I go with booze. Play, go boo, like yes, yes.
Anyways, so we're going to introduce the two new segments for you guys, and there'll be obviously some other new segments while we continue this show. We want to do a lot of stuff with this show, more than just an NXT review. And I'm going to let Michael take it away here and introduce us to these new two segments. We got What's Next and Who's Next, spelt cleverly, obviously, with the NXT. But Michael, what's going to happen with these two new segments?
Got you guys. So as you guys know, we just expanded our network. We have different shows going on. We got one that covers the main roster, and they actually did a really good job. I tuned in at the end of the show, and they did a really good job. For you guys, go and check out their show. I really enjoyed Tyler Jones' Today's in the History of the WWE. We got a UK show with Craig Messy. He did an awesome job. I tuned in for a little bit where he talks about stuff going on in the UK. And, of course, on each show, we want to do stuff that's different. So on this show, we have some new segments going on. We actually have a third that I will talk about later on that we won't be able to get to this week, but we will get to next week. But our two new segments is one that's called Who's Next, with next spelled NXT. Thank you very much. It's where we basically predict what's going to happen in future storylines. And what we think might be going on. We might talk about stuff that may happen next week and stuff that may happen into the future. I think we briefly talk about stuff that we may think may happen next week. And our second segment is one that's called Who's Next, where, once again, next spelled NXT. And we are actually going to pick a MVP of the week and a jobber of the week. We're going to pick who we think is going to be the next MVP of NXT, someone who we believe, based off this episode or previous episodes, who we think might be future world champions, and they're doing such a great job. We also have the who's next, who's going to be the next jobber, or just someone who's being booked horribly, that we see no future for them and it's not going so good. On NXT, we might not get a lot of that because everyone's doing great. And the third one I will talk about later on at the end of the show. But without further ado, Kyle, are you ready to get into our first segment?
Let's do it. And I will have a theme song for it. I'm going to think of a good theme song. But as for this week, this is the beta one. We'll have that was the intro. But let's get into it. So we'll start off. What do you want to start with? Who's next or what's next?
Since we just did the review, let's talk about what's next. So this is the segment where we will be predicting upcoming storylines, whether it has to do with any match or storyline going on next week or anything you see in the big future. We might even talk about stuff that we may think might go down at NXT WrestleMania. So, Kyle, why don't you take it away first? Right, do you have any upcoming predictions, stuff that you may think might happen next week or in the future?
So this ties into what we just seen in the main event. And that's between Nikki Cross and Bianca Belair. I'm seeing and I'm predicting what's next for this, and I think this is all going to be built up to a fatal 4-way number 1 contenders match. And yes, 4 people, so I'll get into who the other 2 are. We're going to continue Nikki Cross and Bianca Belair. This is far from over. Clearly, with the ending of a double countout, no one was justified as the winner here. So clearly, we are going to be getting something big out of this, and it's going to be continuing. So my prediction of what's next to come here, eventually it'll lead to a number 1 contenders match. We're going to be adding Bianca Belair and Nikki Cross. Obviously, obviously going to be adding Shayna Baszler, who's been claiming she wants her rematch. I think there's gonna be a way to not screw Shayna Baszler out of her number 1 contenders obligated rematch, but I think William Regal's going to tie this around saying, well, I know you get your rematch, but these other 3 girls have produced that they deserve a number 1 contendership as well, so you're going to be put in a match with these 3 girls. I think it's going to piss Shayna Baszler off. She's going to think William Regal's favoring everyone else, but you know what? It's going to play a nice storyline. But the other 2, or the last one is going to be, which I think we're going to see a lot more of in the upcoming weeks, Candice LeRae. I think she's not out of the title picture just yet. We saw what happened that ended off, and they kind of haven't played off it since with Candice LeRae and Baszler getting in each other's faces. Maybe we're going to see Baszler and Kairi Sane maybe get their rematch before the next takeover, but maybe Candice LeRae gets involved somehow and costs Baszler. There's a lot of scenarios that you can go with, but I'm going to say that this is going to lead to a number 1 contenders fatal 4-way match on an episode of NXT, and the winner will face Kairi Sane at NXT TakeOver. What's it going to be called? Los Angeles or War Games? The War Games one in November, and so that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. That's why I think what's next in terms of the women's title picture on NXT.
That's a really good one. Book it in, man. That's great.
So, heel turn 21. Brian, former co-host of the show, was joining the chat. He's got to go. See you later, Brian. And good luck with the rest of your show.
And good riddance. Get out of here.
Oops. Anyways, Michael, what's next for you? What do you think? What's going on? What's next?
So I briefly brought this up. I definitely brought this up with you before. What I think may be coming up, and it's a big one. I think probably won't do it, but I think it would be a huge match. We got War Games coming up, and of course, it's if it's anything like last year, it's basically the cage, 2 rings, and it's a team of 3 people of 3 teams of 3 people. So what I think, what I believe is what's next is that next week we got a champions versus champions match. Ricochet with the North American Championship, putting it on the line against Pete Dunne's UK Championship. Adam Cole, it just seems so obvious that he will get involved. So I believe he's going to go down there with Undisputed. They're all going to cause the DQ. They're going to beat him up. William Regal's going to come out here and say, hey, what do you think you're doing? You ruined this great match. And so this is what I'm going to do. He's going to punish Adam Cole for getting involved. And I have brought this storyline up before, so I'm going to bring it up again. At War Games, we are going to get that all 3 guys' titles will be on the line. You guys may think this is crazy, but wait until I say what's going on here. These 3 teams, or these 3 champs, will have to find a team to basically help them and represent them in the match. I believe that Pete Dunne, bear in mind, every single title will be on the line. UK title, the North American Championship will be on the line, and this is where we bring in the last title, which is going to be the Tag Team Championship. For this match, it's whoever scores the first fall and whoever they pin win that championship. So these are the teams. These are the teams. It's going to be Adam Cole and Undisputed with the NXT Tag Team Championship on the line. So if anyone from that team, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly or Roderick Strong, if they get pinned, the team that pins them will get the tag team championship. On the other side of this, we will get Ricochet representing the North American Championship. He will recruit the War Raiders. So, if by any chance Ricochet pins anyone from Undisputed Era, that means War Raiders will automatically get the tag team championship. They pick up the title from that team. So, Ricochet and War Raiders. We got Undisputed representing the Tag Team Championship. The final team, it's going to be Pete Dunne recruiting Mustache Mountain. So there you go. It works in everyone's favor. If Ricochet pins Pete Dunne, then he will pick up the UK Championship. If anyone from Mustache Mountain or Pete Dunne, say, pins, let's see here, Ricochet, then he will pick up the North American Championship. Or if they pin Undisputed Era, then that means that Mustache Mountain wins the Tag Team Championship. Everyone in here has everything to gain, everything to lose. Everyone could potentially pick up a championship title. And there you go, guys. It's big, it's confusing, but it'll be a hell of a match. If we get it at War Games, all three titles are on the line, and there you go. That's what I think is happening next.
All right. So that's an interesting one. I like it. I think we're definitely going to be going in that direction. I'll put signs or pointing towards that. That's actually one of the things I had written down. So I'll go with my third one here, and I'm going to go with what I said earlier in the show and how I think it's Tommaso Ciampa. So I'm thinking what's next for the NXT title picture. This is all going to lead to Tommaso Ciampa being the one to be identified as the attacker, as much as his promo basically kind of knocks him out of the picture. Not quite. I really do think that he's just kind of playing the part right now, and I think it just seems too obvious that he would be the one to attack Aleister Black, and you know, he's saying that he wouldn't do it unless it was in front of an audience, but that, you know, maybe he would do it behind someone's back because he's the heel here, right? It's something he would do. I can't really put too much on it. I have this gut feeling that Tommaso Ciampa is the attacker, and he's the one who attacked Aleister Black, and this is going to lead to a grudge takeover match at a takeover War Games. Maybe it'll be inside the cage, maybe it won't be. I don't think it really needs a cage, but Tommaso Ciampa versus Aleister Black for the NXT Championship at NXT Takeover War Games. So that's what I think what's next with the NXT Championship, and Johnny Gargano will be involved somehow, maybe that one, or maybe not until the Takeover Royal Rumble.
Very good.
So that's what I think what's next with the NXT title picture.
Mm-hmm. All right. So for mine, what's next? So I have a potential storyline that could be who attacked Aleister Black. Now, I know I said Johnny Gargano did it, but I actually have a separate storyline on someone else who could have done it. There's a little bit of repeat creative, so guys, come on, just roll along with me here. So what I have here is, and this storyline will sound very familiar to all of you. So basically, what it is Tommaso Ciampa said that he didn't do it. If he did do it, he would, just attack Aleister Black. But what I have here is, it is going to be revealed, and I kind of want this guy to get this big push. I kind of need this guy to go back to being full-on heel. It's for some reason going to be revealed that the person who attacked Aleister Black was none other than EC3.
What?
And yeah, exactly, EC3. I don't know, Cupid Girl's still in the chat, but it's going to reveal to be EC3. And then when they have this great match, because I think a match between EC3 and Aleister Black would be great, it is going to get some interference by none other than Tommaso Ciampa. And this is the part where the repeat creative comes in. It's going to be said that Tommaso Ciampa, and bear in mind, he's the NXT champion, so now he's making the big bucks. He paid EC3 to take out Aleister Black. They're always talking about how EC3 is all in this money. He's all about the wealth, so it kind of makes sense. It brings EC3 back to being a full-on heel, and there you go. A little bit of a repeat storyline, the Triple H paying Rikishi to run over Stone Cold Steve Austin, but for me, a separate storyline, and to get EC3 back in the main event push and main event heel is that Aleister Black paid EC3 to take out Aleister Black. There you go. So, there you go.
All I got to say to that is, Mamma Mia. Ronaldo just said it best just now. Wow. Interesting, Michael Chau. Very, very creative Michael Chau creative idea there. But if that turns out to be who attacked Aleister Black and that reason, I'll give you mad props to for predicting that. But man, I love the whole storyline with the whole who attacked Ciampa thing. It's Aleister Black thing. It's smart. It gets you thinking about who actually did it. It gets you thinking about, like, are they trying to sway us away from the obvious, or maybe it is the obvious and they're just trying to make us think it's something else. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many directions that it can go. But very good creative idea. Michael and Cuba Girl in the chat say, how dare you say that my man attacked Aleister Black?
Hey, this would get him back in the main event picture. This guy's been losing, and this guy got creamed by Lars Sullivan. Of course, for those of you who watch TakeOver, it's basically a way to write EC3 off. He did suffer a concussion thanks to that super kick by Velveteen Dream, so we don't know when EC3 might be back. But yeah, Kyle, when do you think they're actually going to reveal who attacked Aleister Black? Are they going to wait all the way until TakeOver WrestleMania?
I don't think so. I think because the injury, the last thing I read in terms of Aleister Black's injury was he's supposed to be ready to go sometime in October, which is good timing because that by then you can reveal it and build a story into November, which leads to TakeOver War Games. So I'm thinking we're not going to be waiting that long. I think we're going to get the whole reveal sometime in October. Mm-hmm. So that's just my guess. That's all I had written down for what's next. I'm sure we'll have more next week, but I don't know if you had anything else written down, or do you want to jump into who's next?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. I'm all up. So let's go into our next segment. It's Who's Next, where Kyle and I will pick one person, or optional, if Kyle believes that there's more person who deserves the big props, is where we pick the MVP of the week, some person who we believe has a great future in NXT, either based on this episode or stuff that they've been doing in the past. And we'll also pick one jobber of the week, someone who's just not been booked good, whether their in-ring ability is horrible, they're bad on the mic, and we just sadly don't see a future for them. So without further ado, should we start with MVP of the week, or should we start with jobber of the week?
We'll start with MVP of the week. How about that?
All right. Kyle, you got one?
My MVP of the week is a tag team, and that is Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. These guys continue to impress me every single time that they're on TV. They have, they produce every single tag team match that they have. You can't sit here and name me a tag team match that they've had where you weren't invested in it and you weren't impressed by anything that Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch produce in the ring. Storyline-wise, it's tough with them. They haven't really been involved that much into a storyline more in-depth, and I think they should. I think we should be giving these guys a break. But I'm giving them an MVP because I can see them being a future tag team champion. I think these guys deserve a run with the titles. The crowd's obviously behind them. They're getting, I think by the time that they give these guys the titles, the crowd will be more behind them. The whole 1-2 chant, man, they're feeling it, man. They're feeling the crowd too at the end of the match this week. So I give my MVP props to Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, and I'm giving them a prediction of saying that they're going to be a future tag team champion or tag team champions in NXT. I don't think we're going to see them leave NXT without getting at least a decent run, or maybe at least a couple month run with the tag team titles after this whole Undisputed Era thing comes to an end. So MVPs are Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch for me.
Ah, very good. Anyone else? Did you have another?
No, I just had them written down. Just them. I could give it to my boy, the finest Conor Reeves, but he hasn't been on TV lately. So.
Wait till we get to Jobber of the Week. But yeah. Okay, so for me, the MVP of the week, and if your old co-host is listening, he might cringe at this, but I'm giving MVP of the week to none other than Cassius Ohno, because yes.
No.
Well, yeah, whether you hate him or you don't, I think the guy's good in the ring. He might be slow, and it's just bad booking on his account. But I like what they're doing with his character. He did the segment very well, and as long as they book it good, I just it's hard to say. It's obvious that it is going to be Cassius Ohno versus Matt Riddle next, but it's like, who wins in this scenario? You don't want to see Matt Riddle losing his, NXT TakeOver. I assume it's going to be at a TakeOver debut. But then again, Cassius Ohno on this new heel storyline. You don't want to see him lose, do you? Unless they book it in a way where he loses and he loses his shit, and afterwards he just beats the shit out of Matt Riddle. Right. So other than that, it's a good storyline. Cassius Ohno is carrying the storyline very well, as long as they carry it all the way through, it should be a good storyline. I like this new character of him basically targeting all these newbies coming in. So
I really hope they continue that too. It's good for Ono. He needs something right now. He's kind of slipping out of the ranks, and he's just kind of floating around NXT, hoping they're hoping for something to do with him. And I think this is a good idea and a good job of them of getting him into some sort of storyline. So, anyways, I'll go to my jobber. Did you have another MVP?
Nope, that's it. Let's go to Jobber of the Week.
Jobber of the Week. It's
Who's
tough.
next?
It's tough.
Well, we might not actually have any. This isn't the main roster, so we might actually have a week
because
where...
I don't know what's going on with him. If he's not involved in the Aleister Black storyline, then I don't think there's anything for him. I can't see him going anywhere any bigger than what he's already done. So I'm giving it to Lars Sullivan. Fortunately, I know he had a big squash match and he won this week against Raul Mendoza, but what does that do for him? What does that do for the Lars Sullivan character? Yeah, he squashed Raul Mendoza. Yeah, okay, we've seen him squash really almost every single person in NXT. And if he's not involved in the Tommaso Ciampa storyline, he's not being involved in the main title picture, what is he doing on NXT still? Why is he not being pushed up on the main roster, being what I've said for like the last 6 months, being pushed as Braun Strowman's next tough opponent? Because literally Braun Strowman, as much as they want to portray him as being weak now and the Shield's like, breakfast, he's got no competition up there. He's got none. So I'm giving the jobber status to Lars Sullivan. I'm sorry, I can't see anything for him in the future.
Mm-hmm. For me, I would have to say I think there's big bucks in Lars Sullivan versus Keith Lee, but this whole thing with EC3 was so random. Like, I don't know why they just randomly said EC3 was going to take on Raul Mendoza. Then all of a sudden he just gets attacked. So it's just, I don't know where they're going with this. And I agree. It's just, where do you go with Lars Sullivan after this? The guy was on a winning streak. The streak finally gets broken by Aleister Black. And then where do you go from there? It's almost as though the streak defines you. And by the way, is it me? I always thought Lars Sullivan was like this really big guy, but I think I saw him in the ring with, I forgot who, another wrestler, and he looked like the same size. I always thought he was so tall, but I think he was maybe in a ring with, who was it?
Cesar Bononi, because Cesar Bononi is pretty big.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I think one of the commentators also plugged the fact he's only like 6'2" or something. So he's not actually a big guy. I always thought Lars Sullivan, because he's like a big, as in weight, you think he's like a big guy like Braun Strowman. But dude, this guy, as far as height, he's not really that tall. But yeah, and
it could be some sort of test for Braun Strowman.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We'll see who Vince picks. But it's going to be a triple threat match. These guys are both going to lose to Roman Reigns in the same match, same night. So there you go. For me, Jobber of the Week, I actually don't have one. I thought everyone did a good job. I do kind of agree with Kyle. I might just say that my Jobber of the Week is Lars Sullivan. Where do you go with him? I don't know how long EC3 is going to be out with his concussion, so he's not going to take on Raul Mendoza again next week. This ain't the main roster, so where do you go from here? Do you put him in a tag team? Maybe you could put him in a tag team with someone else who's big. Keith Lee? Yeah, if you want to turn Keith Lee heel, maybe put him in a tag team with Cassius Ohno. Maybe Lars Sullivan feels underappreciated, and you got these two big guys. They would basically be like the next Authors of Pain, these two huge guys that no one would be able to defeat. So
they need to do something with him. I just feel like he's now going to be riding that line of, do we call him up yet, or do we keep him down? Do we still have something for him in the future? So I hope we see something out of him. But right now he's getting the jobber status, and I'm so glad you didn't give it to my boy, the finest, Cody. But I'm sure in the future I'll be hearing that, though. That's all right. I'll take it.
We'll see.
But other than that, I don't got anyone else. But yeah, I love our new 2 segments, guys. It's going to be great on the show. Again, more new segments coming to the show. Also going to be keeping you guys up to date with what's going on at live events. And we quickly touch base on that now because we do have an update. I might get the Sports Center theme for that from previous live events. 2 main roster talents made recent appearances at live events over the last week.
Was it Roman Reigns?
No, unfortunately, it was not Roman Reigns making his return to NXT because apparently he's too good for that.
I paid for an NXT ticket just to see Roman Reigns, and you're telling me I have to go get a refund?
I think you're behind on that. I think you're still living in 2013. But anyways, we have Tyler Breeze sighting on NXT. He had a match with Ricochet, And we also had, for whatever reason, I think it was just because it was in Luke Harper's hometown, but Luke Harper faced Ricochet on an NXT live event. And him and Ricochet apparently had a pretty good match. And from what I could read from the reports, Ricochet can hold his own against a big guy, and that's a big thing. When you're the size of Ricochet and you're more about the athletic ability of a cruiserweight, putting up a good match against a big guy goes a long way in this company. It's maybe not what Vince McMahon can see out of it or will see out of it, but in Triple H's eyes, I'm sure that impressed the hell out of him and sees a lot more in Ricochet now than he already did before.
I mean, you talk about Ricochet and a big guy, then could we possibly get Ricochet versus Lars Sullivan next for the North American Championship? I think that'd be a pretty good match.
It's something that you don't know what you can make out of it, but it's something that I wouldn't mind if they test the waters with. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, I'll have to look into it if they've already done that in live events. I'll have to see. I'd love to see about that. But if they do, we'll keep you guys updated. But yeah. Tyler Breeze, I guess he's been doing this for a while now. This is not just recent. I've seen Tyler Breeze at live events. I've seen results in the past of him appearing at these live events. It's interesting that they do stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what their whole reason behind it is. I'm sure they probably missed going to those live events and performing at them. But I don't know. It's interesting.
I must say that this week, Tyler Breeze came out for he got clobbered, but he came out for a singles match against Kevin Owens. He came out to his old theme music, his model. It came out with the selfie stick, and I was like, dude, I miss this Tyler Breeze so much. His old model gimmick. I mean, he got destroyed, but it was just so great. I miss his
Can't do it
whole
in the main roster,
model.
not allowed. No, you got to dress like crappy police officers and call yourselves a fashion police and appear on WWE TV once a month.
Man,
anyway, it's sad. Tyler Breeze has so much potential too. Guy's an amazing wrestler as well, but it is what it is. We're also going to be featuring Total News to this one. I think we have one bit of news. I think you have it, Michael, but we're going to try to get as much NXT type news as possible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guys, it was actually tough because this show is basically going to try and be only about NXT. Our new segment will only be about NXT related. So we're not going to talk about anything based off the main roster unless it actually directly involves NXT. And for this entire week, from last week to this week, I really could not find a lot of news for NXT. So the only thing I could actually come up with is, Kyle, I don't know if you heard about this. You might have seen it on Twitter. They released the entire roster list of, as far as we know, they did not release the DLC, but they released a roster list for WWE 2K19, and coincidentally missing from that roster from NXT. Two names that actually went out to me is, number one, Nikki Cross, who was in last year's game. She was not injured as far as I know, so I have no idea why they couldn't just put her back in the game when she was in last year's game. Mm-hmm. And one big one, who was in last year's game as well, Tommaso Ciampa, the NXT champion, is not going to be in It's not going to be in WWE 2K19, as far as we know. I don't know. It's weird.
It's one thing to say that if they weren't here last year. Mm-hmm. But if you were in the game last year and you're here still this year, and there was no time in between that you left the company, why are you not in the game? Why are you being maybe force-fed to DLC? I don't understand that.
Exactly. I thought it was a thing where maybe it's like, because he was injured. I'm thinking maybe they took him out of the game because he was injured. But then a lot of people brought up the fact that some people who did make it into the game, the Colognes were out with an injury for almost an entire year, and they went into the game. And Tamina Snuka, everyone's favorite 42-year-old wrestler, is injured for basically the entire year, and she made it back into the game. So a lot of people are confused. There is still hope with the DLC, so we never know. I think EC3 might make it, who is not in the game. EC3 might make it into the DLC. I'm thinking maybe Tommaso Ciampa might. He is?
I swore I thought I saw footage of Adam Cole and Ricochet in an NXT ring footage. I swear. I could be wrong.
For anyone who saw the recent trailer, did you watch the newest trailer of WWE 2K19 today?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. You had like the House of Horrors, and at the end there was like big head wrestlers, and then at the very end, this was weird. There was a Triple H zombie. I do not know what's going on with this game. A lot of people, they're kind of like, it's just a game, just enjoy it. But
Trying
this
to get
game,
the children to buy it.
I hear you. The game's kind of all over the place. But hey, you know me, I'm a mark for these games, so I'm probably gonna buy. I
wouldn't be surprised if it was rated E for everybody.
There you go. So it's kind of weird. Ronda Rousey literally made her debut. Well, they did it for the money. Ronda Rousey made her debut like a couple of months ago at WrestleMania, and she made it into the game. Now, I know they did this just to sell the money and to promote this game, but still, it's just very confused. No NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa, no Nikki Cross, even though they were both in the game last year. And if you saw the superstar ratings for this game, NXT is an absolute joke. Anyone who's in NXT got low ratings. That freaking Adam Cole.
They're not the developmental brand. Like Adam Cole, a guy who didn't need to go to NXT. If he was on the main roster, he would have gotten a way higher overall, and he should have gotten a higher overall in NXT. I don't get that. I really don't get that.
Let's put it this way. Adam Cole has a superstar rating of 84, and Matt Hardy has a superstar rating of 85. They're basically saying, based off these ratings, Matt Hardy would beat Adam Cole in the match. This is what they're saying.
Right.
So, very confused by these ratings.
I'll be changing a lot of that with the accelerator. I'll be buying the accelerator. You can bet your ass on that, and I'll be changing those up.
You bet your ass I'm going to change Roman Reigns 95 down to, I don't know, what's the lowest setting you can set? The superstar, I just want to say, the superstar rating for Vince every single year is so funny. He's like up in the 80s range. I always try to give him the lowest score. Like, why would Vince McMahon be in the same range as like Adam Cole? It's like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But yeah, that's the only NXT news I came up with, guys. Next week, hopefully there's more news, but that's it. Guys, WWE 2K19, no Tommaso Ciampa, no Nikki Cross as far as we know. So that's the news for this week.
So that's going to be it because we don't have any fan tweets. But guys, thank you for tuning in to the show again, the debut episode and the relaunch of the Lowdown show, The Next, cleverly spelled also NXT, where we're going to be talking about NXT and doing the NXT review and NXT coverage every single week. Like I said, more new segments of the show. Who's next? What's next? We're going to do some fan tweets as well when we get them in. We're also going to have some total NXT news, and we're going to be incorporating more NXT stuff to the show as well. Like I said, the live event updates and anything to do with NXT, maybe Performance Center wise, guys. But we want to make the show a lot about NXT and try to have fun with it and get you guys more involved. So stay tuned as this show grows. We are going to make it really good, just as good as what NXT is on television. But I got nothing left, Michael, and I don't know if you have anything to end off on.
So we mentioned the two new segments. There was a third that I was going to mention at the end of the show. So I was trying to work my hardest, guys, but of course, I work full-time job, Kyle works, and I just recently moved into a new home, so I've just been so busy. I try to do as much as I can to try and get this segment on today, but I just couldn't do it. So our final segment, we'll do it next week. So our final segment that is going to be exclusive to this show, which reviews in NXT, is a new segment that's going to start next week called NXT Call-Up Spotlight. In this new segment, we are actually going to take an NXT alumni, someone who actually came from NXT, who has gone to the main roster, and we're going to talk about their path from NXT to the main roster. We're going to talk about what they did in NXT, and then we're going to talk about what they did when they've been called up to the main roster. And at the end of it, comparing what they've done in between NXT and the main roster, me, myself, and Kyle, and also you guys in the live chat or on Twitter, please get at us, we are going to give the status of whether they deserve a promotion or demotion, whether or not that they've done horrible since they've gone up to the main roster. Just to add out a few, let's just say someone like Bobby Roode or Asuka, who did great in NXT and who has not been doing so well in the main roster, they would probably be going down as a status of demotion. Now, there are also other people who have done great since going to the main roster. Credit where credit's due. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. I hope Kevin Owens can get back up there. These guys have definitely done a lot better than they have since being in NXT. So they've obviously been given the status of promotion. So That's the segment, and it's going to be random. It's either going to be random or we might just go in alphabetical order. So we'll let you know ahead of hand.
Yeah.
I'll try and tweet it out. Or maybe you guys, if you guys know of a NXT alumni who's now on the main roster, you want us to do next week, tweet at us. Who do you want next week? Who? You guys want us to get Roman Reigns over with? You guys want us to do it next week? Let us know. If you guys want to do Ty
an
Dillinger.
Alumni. Yeah.
He is an alumni.
Boy Dillinger, yeah.
So guys, let us know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, guys, let us know. Other than that, that is going to wrap it up for episode 1 of The Lowdown Show. The next, right here on the new No Holds Barred Network, your source for all WWE, NXT, and UK wrestling coverage. You can listen to us live every Wednesday night starting next week on Spreaker. Download the free app on all Android and Apple devices. We are also available to listen to on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud. For all network updates, please go follow at NHB Network on Twitter as well. Follow the show itself at The Lowdown Show or The Next on Twitter. So all links will be in the description below on the YouTube version of this podcast. Also go follow myself at Rio Kyle Masters and Michael Chau TV while you're at it. I'm your host, as always, the self-proclaimed greatest host, Kyle Masters, and I'm joined by my co-host. He is the host that runs the West Coast, Hollywood Michael Chau.
Bye, guys. Have fun on Sunday watching that other thing.
And we're always reminding you to keep it on the lowdown.